Today we're diving into a story that's like almost a cliche, right? The classic rise and fall. But this one, it's got music, it's got huge business moves, and now, well, some really serious legal problems. We're talking about Sean Diddy Combs.
You've given us this really fascinating podcast in Spanish about Diddy, and honestly, there's just so much to unpack. I think what gets me is how, for a lot of people, Diddy's story, it's like the American dream, But like a lot of those stories, those like really fast success stories, there's usually a whole other side to it. I mean, the guy went from making hits to a $1 billion empire.
It's funny you say that because, yeah, for a lot of us, Diddy's name of pure 90s hip-hop, Bad Boy Records, all that. But to go from producing to $1 billion empire, that's a whole different game.
Totally. Rolling Stone, they estimate his net worth is somewhere in that ballpark, and it's not like it happened overnight. This is decades of work we're talking about. What's kind of crazy is that Diddy, his business smarts, they got recognized way back in 2002. Fortune magazine, they called him one of the 40 most influential entrepreneurs under 40.
2002. Wow. So while he's topping the charts, he's already making waves in the business world. So what did that look like back then? Was it all music related, or was he already branching out?
Oh, he was diversifying super early on. We're talking fashion, Sean John, restaurants, even putting money into a vodka brand. And get this, the gaming world.
Yeah.
Combs Enterprises, his company. It was like this massive web touching everything.
That's some serious foresight.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, anyone who invested in whatever Diddy touched back then, where would they be now?
And just to show you how far his reach was, even back then, there are stories about him designing a whole alternate uniform for the Dallas Mavericks. This isn't just music anymore. It's like stepping into the world of pro sports.
That's wild. I had no idea. Talk about influence. And this is always the thing, right? With these huge stories, there's always another side. And with Diddy, you can't talk about his rise without looking at the legal battles, even before all this stuff that's going on now.
Yeah, and it's not like these legal issues just popped up out of nowhere. Exactly. It's important to say this isn't like a new thing for Diddy. He's had these lawsuits and controversies like throughout his whole career, even before things really blew up recently.
Right. But 2017, that feels different, like a real turning point. That's when you start seeing those lawsuits, the ones about inappropriate behavior, they start popping up. And that's when the public conversation around him, it starts to shift.
You got to remember, though, Diddy's denied these allegations.
Right.
But it makes you think, like when there's this many lawsuits, regardless of whether he wins or loses, it's going to affect how people see him. It's going to leave a mark.
It's that shadow of doubt. You know what I mean? And that brings us to 2024. And man, things go from 0 to 60. Really publicly. This isn't just rumors anymore. We're talking serious legal action.
And what the authorities did in 2024, that tells you everything you need to know. This is serious stuff. Like back in March, you remember? Federal agents, they raided Diddy's houses. Not just one. We're talking both his LA place and the one in Miami.
I mean, come on, that's insane.
Right.
Like, they hit him in 2 different states at the same time. That's not messing around. That's a whole different level.
No, you're telling me they meant business. And then, to make it even crazier, nobody knew anything about the investigation, right? Like all these rumors and speculations start flying around. And then, bam, September hits. Diddy gets arrested.
At the Park Hyatt, no less.
Right. Like, talk about a fall from grace. 1 minute you're at the Park Hyatt, the next.
You're in courtroom.
Exactly. He's in front of a judge in Manhattan, like, the next day.
The whole thing, it just feels so rushed.
And then, and this is the big one, Diddy pleads not guilty, right? But the judge, they deny bail. That's not nothing. It means they think this case, it's serious, and they're worried about what might happen if they let him out.
So he goes from these mansions, this crazy lifestyle, to a jail cell.
And the story doesn't end there, because now you've got this lawyer, Tony Busby, out of Houston, and he's saying he represents, get this, 120 people, all with allegations against Diddy. 120 accused.
This is unheard of.
And it just gets worse, because some of these allegations, they involve minors, which just adds this whole other layer to everything.
It's like watching a car crash in slow motion.
Yeah.
You have this guy so successful at the top of his game, and now he's facing this mountain of legal trouble. His whole future is up in the air.
It makes you think, how's this going to affect how we remember Diddy? Is it going to be the music, the businesses, or is it going to be all this?
It's a crazy reminder that no matter how rich or famous you are, you're not above the law. This deep dive into Diddy, from the highs to, well, all this, it just goes to show you success is complicated. What do you think happens next? Only time will tell, I guess, but one thing's for sure, we'll be watching.